to scientists like Pro Sturgio, we now know that there's good reason for their attachment. What HBL has discovered is that the wrong shoe can actually drain your energy. And when your energy drops, you either slow down or you overexert yourself. And that can lead to injuries like the one Trista Bernier faced. In the lab, Sturgio prepares Maria, a volunteer, for a run-through. Sensors that pick up electrical signals generated by the muscles are attached to her legs. Measuring the signal gives scientists a pretty good idea of how active the muscles are and how much force they're exerting. The wrong shoe can cause too much activity and exertion in the legs and feet, and that can drain energy and reduce propulsion.
There we go. Good. Do you want to come over here?
With our way of collecting data, we can look at various very discrete joint angles and say, this is quite normal, this is quite normal, but if you look on the other leg, there seems to be something that deviates from what we consider an average or a normal person. So let's focus in on that particular part. So we can work with the coaches, with other people, to try and correct one specific technique that the coach might miss when they're looking at the whole picture. Here, and this rectangular platform measures the forces underneath your feet in 3 directions. It measures the vertical forces, but it also measures the forward and backward and side-to-side forces as well. Okay?
Good. Good speed.
But that's not the only thing this system can do. Little white reflectors are also attached to the body at key joints and stress points. Captured on video at an amazing 240 frames per second, the runner appears lit up like a Christmas tree. Using the light points, Sturgio can then generate a 3-dimensional image of the runner's leg and use it to compare how different shoes affect body alignment and propulsion.
We can now take this information and very easily, visually, look and compare between the 2 different shoe conditions. So we have this one shoe condition here, okay? And then we can bring another shoe condition in here and compare at different parts of the stride what's going on with Maria's running style, okay?
These points,
Using all of this information, HBL can help an athlete choose the best footwear for their needs and body structure. Customize shoes that increase energy, prevent injury, and enhance propulsion.
It seems to be that in this particular shoe condition, she has a higher loading in her ankle and a little bit of higher loading in her, well, it's probably a similar loading in her knee, but the loading itself is a little bit bigger in her joints as well for that particular shoe.
If this technology had been available when Trista Bernier first entered competition, she might have avoided the leg injury that almost destroyed her career. The only question now is it too late to take advantage of breakthroughs like this one? Bernier is now pursuing a career as a personal trainer, helping everyday athletes to propel themselves into better, healthier lives. But can she do the work and still make a comeback as a competitive vaulter? She's not convinced, but her coach, Brian Risk, believes that Bernier is so good that she can do anything she sets her mind to.
We use the vaulting, make your career, make your pole vault career now start to fund and support what you're doing in business. So you come out and vault, we put results in the paper, put results in the local media. We don't say anything about a comeback, your name just appears and you were jumping. And then the next week at another competition, there's some sort of a personal comment in there, you're not committing to coming back or not, you're very quiet on the word. And so we create this drama.
I knew that you're gonna do this. I know that this is the, you really, you know, you're not quite done your career, you didn't reach your potential, you can still vault, you love it, you've obviously got this passion for it still. And I'm like, no way, you know, there's lots of other things I can do, but I'm sitting here like the last 5 minutes listening to you, and I'm like, yeah, I can do it. I can do it. I'm actually falling for it.
Well, absolutely. Well, no, the great thing about it is, I think you can do anything. You've proven that time and time again.
So will breakthroughs in science and technology propel Bernier back into competitive sport? If it does, you can bet that she'll be in top physical form, and that her name will be among the list of winners. Because for every athlete, winning is what it's all about. A dramatic impact on a sport. For years, high jumpers used every technique in the book to propel themselves over the bar. Coaches actually spent more time on the landing than they did on the jump. Then, in 1968, all that changed. Dick Fosbury stunned the world and won Olympic gold with a new high jump technique called the Fosbury flop. Now, everybody uses it.
The Fosbury was really an accidental discovery, probably while training. We understood that this technique centered on speed. To maximize performance, you had to run up to the bar in a straight line and then curve to lower the center of gravity, find the centrifugal forces that could be released for propulsion.
Danielle Saint-Hilaire has been coaching high jumpers and sprinters for 20 years, producing 3 national champions and a world champion. Now he's coaching a Guyanese high jumper and Olympic hopeful, Kwaku Boateng. Kwaku has spent the last 5 years mastering the propulsive power of the Fosbury flop.
It takes hundreds of thousands of jumps to be able to clear the bar from your hair, your shoulders, your buttocks, your calves, your heels. It takes maybe 10,000 jumps before a high jumper can maximize his or her performance.
So why does the flop work better than the scissors or the Western roll or the straddle? Well, that's where the science comes in. To get up and over, high jumpers have to beat the resistance of gravity. Our center of gravity, or balance, is at belly button level, and that's what has to clear the bar. So turn the belly button up, and voila, it leads over the bar, lowering the center of gravity, propelling the athlete to a record-breaking performance. Coach Saint-Hilaire knows the entire process like the back of his hand.
When a high jumper takes off, that's the kind of rhythm involved. He goes into a curve and takes off. I'll show it here. Look. Here he relaxes, gradually accelerating. Then he starts, goes into a curve. He feels good in the curve. So when he starts to feel good, he accelerates. In accelerating, he shortens his stride and leans into it as if he's on a bike going around a corner. As he comes up to the bar, he increases his speed and the number of strides he takes. He shortens his stride a little to raise his center of gravity. So when he gets here, what he wants is acceleration. And here he raises himself up slightly to increase propulsion and direct everything, aim everything to the same point.
In fact, since the flop was introduced, records have jumped by almost half a meter. To hit a new record, Saint-Hilaire knows that Kwaku's timing will have to be perfect.
If you wait until the right moment, the body will continue to go over the bar. And when you sense that you've cleared the bar, you lift your head, contract the abdominals, and use your arms to lift your legs. After that, it's a successful jump. Then you raise your arms in victory.
For the world's best athletes, victory comes first, and breaking records comes a close second. The only question now is, are there any limits to the power of human propulsion?
Já voltamos com Performance.
The fastest men on land have been smashing Olympic records since the Games first began. And breaking the record in the 100-meter dash is the final culmination of every sprinter's dream. In 1896, American Tom Burke won Olympic gold in a record-breaking 12 seconds. 100 years later, Canadian sprinter Donovan Bailey did it in just under 10. Now, a 2-second difference may not seem like a lot, but look at it this way. If Bailey raced Burke, he'd beat him by a full 20 meters. Very few humans can cover 100 meters in less than 10 seconds. And that's why sprinters are a breed apart.
A sprinter is not cut out for walking or long-distance running, just speed racing. Do not ask him to go shopping. He will end up with knee or foot problems because he's just not cut out for that. A Ferrari does not go out for a Sunday drive on a city street. It's on the racetrack that you can really gauge its performance.
Just like a Formula One car, sprinters need constant care and frequent tune-ups. Yvon Darbouz and Vladimir Afriani are on the track every day, practicing their starts, building their strength, and running to win. That's why they always train in pairs, because their coach knows that running against someone is the best way to hone your competitive edge.
Excellent, c'est tout à fait comme ça, il faut que ça se passe. Un par rapport à l'autre, c'est normal, c'est là qu'il faut voir où est-ce qu'on s'ajuste. Si on en fait un petit peu trop, si on n'en fait pas suffisamment. Donc c'est comme ça que ça se passe, à la réaction.
Voted Coach of the Year in 1999, Ronald Morancy knows everything there is to know about sprinting. And these days, that means knowing about the biomechanics of running, how a sprinter's body has to move and why. Under Morancy's watchful eye, the athletes run through their paces. Markers on the track help to establish the right stride length and leg action for maximum propulsion. Pulling weights helps to build strength in specific groups of muscles. In fact, for Morancy, every tiny aspect of a sprinter's biomechanical performance must be analyzed, enhanced, and sometimes corrected. When we watch it all on TV, it looks pretty straightforward. After all, what could be more natural than running? But in actual fact, a sprinter runs in a completely unnatural way. First, they have to pump their knees up as high as they can go. Then, hyperextend the lead leg to its longest stride and grab at the ground with their big toe to propel themselves forward. Then they have to remember to pump their arms straight, lean in, run high, stay loose, and move in a straight line. If you think it's easy, you give it a try.
We're talking about leg action, the position of the pelvis, the position of the torso. We're talking about the center of gravity, the suspension phase, which is the time in mid-air between points of contact with the ground. The push-off, the time on the ground. The response and the flexibility you get at the ankle. These are the little things that make a difference in attaining optimum range and frequency to give us maximum speed overall.
So how does a coach analyze a mere 10-second race and identify what needs to be done to increase propulsion? Well, he does it with the help of some amazing technology. Morancy can now break the sprint down into 1-second bites using lasers that time each phase of the race to a fraction of a second. That way, he knows exactly where his sprinters need to gain more speed. And then he can tell them how to do it. In fact, Morancy has every second of the race carefully planned.
5 secondes, point 65 centièmes.
Like all beat-the-clock sports, the start is critical. The hands are precisely placed, far enough from the body to allow the legs to extend, but not so far that they overextend and weaken the first big push. Then the sprinter gets set. It's all forward propulsion.
At the starting line, to get this strong push-off, great strength in the upper limbs is what counts, even more so than in the lower limbs.
3 seconds.